In this video, I'm telling the story of a Lego minifigure trick-or-treating and ending up in scary movies. The story begins in the bedroom I built for a teenage boy named Jason. He loves cycling and is a big fan of the 80s movies and also loves Halloween. This time around, Jason wants to dress up as a stormtrooper from Star Wars. Jason is ready to trick-or-treat, so that's what we're building next. And with that, we're introducing the first movie, It. For this, I built a street where many people are dressed up as Halloween characters. Jason walks around in his stormtrooper suit and even visits the buyer's house from Stranger Things to trick or treat and receive some candy from Joyce and Will. But then, he hears a giggle from behind him and sees Pennywise the clown holding his balloon. And no one but Jason can see him. This scared Jason and made him run away. Instead, he ends up in front of this creepy mansion. First, I built the base of the house, and then I grabbed a door and some windows and placed them. Next up, I barred the windows and added a porch and used these zombie head pillars from the Monster Fighters theme and finished off the mansion by adding a roof. Jason sees the open front door and decides to go inside. To his surprise, he finds himself in an endless hallway with many doors. Then he sees a letter.
Hey Jason, I want to play a game. Find the 3 keys and escape.
After reading this, Jason opened the first door and entered the kitchen. For this second movie, we'll be visiting Scream, and in particular, the iconic phone call scene. For this, I built a white wall with these snot bricks. For the floor, I used black and white tiles to create an interesting pattern. The snot bricks in the wall are a connection for the counters and a sink, so I added these and also made a fridge. Additionally, I built this dining table with a newspaper and a plant. There's also a couple of tan chairs, which add some contrast to the room. As Jason enters the room, he immediately smells a delicious cake, so he runs to the counter and grabs it. While feasting on this treat, the telephone rings.
Hey Jason, what's your favorite scary movie?
Suddenly, Ghostface enters the kitchen through the window and starts chasing Jason. Luckily, he manages to escape to the hallway and slams the door shut. That was close, but now Jason still needs to find 3 keys to escape, because otherwise he's stuck here. Behind the next door is a boiler room. This is a reference to A Nightmare on Elm Street with one of my favorite movie characters, Freddy Kruegerr. For this, I built a wall with a lot of pipes so Freddy Kruegerr can scratch them. I also made this custom boiler with some round pieces. When looking at the walls, Jason sees a key hanging between the pipes. He grabs it, but then he hears a scratching sound. It's Freddy Kruegerr and he wants to trap Jason. So Jason runs past him and quickly closes the door behind him. Hopefully, Freddy won't visit him in his dreams because that would be a total nightmare. With the first key in his possession, there's 2 more to go. So Jason enters the next room. This appears to be a destroyed bedroom with a girl sitting on her bed. For this room, I built a white wall and added this bed, which I designed particularly for this scene. Here's a custom Reagan minifigure from The Exorcist and I placed her on the bed. Jason sees a nightstand, so he searches for a key, but he can't find one. Then suddenly, Reagan turned her head 360 degrees. After this scary encounter, Jason wants to go home. Up next, he walks into a living room for which I built a stone wall using these masonry bricks. I also added a cabinet with a TV, which was really fun to design. And there's this old chair on which Jason can finally relax. So he puts in the tape, sits on the couch, and starts watching some TV. This is a reference to the Ring movie. Started by building some bushes with tree leaves, which interestingly enough are held together with a stick and a grip piece. Next up, I built the iconic well with these 1x2 round edge plates and added it to the build. Finally, I added some grass pieces and now we can recreate this scene. So after that jump scare, the game maker decided to give Jason a bit of a break and built this toy shop for him. There's this shelf with lots of toys, such as an airplane, a train, a bunch of gifts, and this big yellow box with Chucky. Jason walks in and immediately starts playing, and strangely enough, a minute later, the yellow box is empty and Chucky is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, Chucky jumps on top of Jason and tries to scare him. As Jason enters the next room, he notices he's outside. For this, I grabbed a green base plate and a bin with bush pieces and started building. I also added some grass using these pieces and added this giant tree in the middle, which is actually from Rivendell. It has many dark leaves, which makes the area look quite scary, and Jason isn't happy at all. He can hear all kinds of sounds coming from the darkness around him. Suddenly, he peeks around the corner and sees a chest. He runs towards it and grabs the key. Finally, 2 steps closer to leaving this place, he thinks. Then Jason hears movement behind the tree. It's Michael Myers, and he chases Jason around a grass field, and Jason escapes just on time. Now that Jason has 2 keys, he only needs 1 to win this game. In the next movie, Jason will spend the night in a wooden cabin, and you could guess it, but this is a reference to Friday the 13th, and in particular, the video game, which I played often as a kid. I started by building the wall and added an old door and a window. I also decided to use this western window piece, which really suits this cabin. Then I added this nightstand and a cozy bed so Jason can take a nap. The door gets busted down by none other than Jason Voorhees. Then he starts searching the cabin for people. Then he walks to the closet and opens it. Jason finds Jason, and suddenly he sees a name tag and discovers they both have the same name. So he gives Jason a high five and lets him go. As Jason prepares to enter the next room, he opens the door and suddenly Leatherface runs out and starts chasing Jason. Oh! That was scary, but now Jason is ready to enter another room. So next up, we're going to visit The Shining. I built this bathroom with a sink and a mirror. There's also a toilet and a white door, which I made myself. Jason can't find a key, but he does see a toilet, so he sits down and suddenly hears a voice. Hey, that's my toilet. Get out of here. Do you know Five Nights at Freddy's? Well, this would be a nightmare to be in. So for this, I will build a stage for the animatronics. So I started by arranging some plates and built this wall with masonry bricks. Then I added these supports and built these curtains and some lights. Next up, I added Freddy, Bunny, and Chica. So now we can have a nice little party at Freddy's and Jason sits down on a chair. Luckily, Jason could escape, but there's one final room remaining. He enters a room with shelves full of old junk. If you're not familiar with this, it's the Warren's artifact room from The Conjuring. This is the room where we can find Annabelle and shelves filled with a bunch of stuff. So I built some walls out of wood and added 2 shelves with some cool artifacts. There's a cursed heart which never stops beating and some other cool items. Next up, I got this printed Lego Annabelle minifigure, built her case, and added it to the build. To make this scene even more tense, I added the final key to the Annabelle closet, so Jason has to open it as part of the game. As a final touch, I got the nun painting and added it to the wall. It looks really scary and I don't want to look at it. Jason sees old ornaments, but then he spots the key. He wants to open it, but there's a warning on the door. Escaping is more important, so he opens it and now he can walk to the exit. That was scary, but now Jason will be able to escape, so he runs to the door and the nun's chasing him. He quickly uses all the keys and opens the door.